Go off, King.
Sorry. I didn't mean to go off.
Lord forgive me for shredding.
Sometimes the moment seizes you, mate. Music is a type of language.
Much like Python.
Exact coding is also a type of language.
One of them is the language of the soul, the other of the digits.
Yeah, exact. One's the language of the heart, and one's the language of the mind.
Do you want me to open that one for you?
I got it.
Oh, this bloke carries a fucking bottle opener.
I do have a bottle opener, and as you can see, maybe it's one of the most cucked things in my life. It is branded with my real estate property manager.
Oh wow!
Who I pay rent to.
He gave you a.
Well, yeah, they gave me a bottle opener.
When we bought our house a number of years ago, I only bring this up because, like, I recently. Whatever, I'll tell you in a sec. When we bought our house, the real estate agent gave us a boxed bottle of Johnny Walker 18 years old gold.
Okay.
It was quite obviously, as far as I could tell, a re-gift. Like, to me, that reeks of someone who they sold their house, gave it to them, and then they have given it to me. Because, like, you know, it's a family home or whatever. Like, you don't... Like a Johnny... It's not like they've got, like, 40 Johnny Walker gold, 18 years old.
18-year-olds. But I don't know. Again, this shows you the social stratification in Australia. As a homeowner and part of the elite class, you're given a Johnny Walker 18-year-aged.
But, I mean, it's
as a
shit,
renter...
though. It's a blend.
I'm given a branded bottle opener. I would dream of being given an 18-year Johnny Walker. So maybe think about, check your privilege, mate.
Yeah. I should check my privilege a while ago. I only just opened it for the first time. This is like years ago when we bought the place, but because I was running out of alcohol.
Was it good?
No, I mean, I had it as part of a penicillin, you know. It was the base layer. I had it as like the bourbon, the shit layer of a penicillin.
All right. Okay.
Not the float. Don't worry, folks.
All right.
Ardbeg's still in the float.
Okay, sure. All right, well, it's good to be back, folks. Another week, more insights.
Yeah.
There's going to be I think it's fair to say these two episodes, one free, one paid, are going to be pretty loosey-goosey. We've got a few things we want to talk about.
Yeah,
but it's going to be a bit, you know, we're shooting from the hip.
There's a whole lot of shit.
There's shit to go into. But the first thing that we're going to talk about, among many, is something that came up in our Discord, actually, as a bit of a what the moment. And that is Grammarly, which some of you would be familiar with. It's the classic little browser plugin that tells you if you're using your commas right.
Like spell check, but extra.
Mate, it's spell check on crack, folks.
Yeah.
Is what I would be saying if I was the Grammarly marketing manager back circa 2015.
Absolutely. Before we go any further, we should probably do a little bit of a, you know, tell people what else we're going to talk about. So
okay,
I'll just rip through them. But Grammarly's up the top. We want to talk about Perplexity at some point. You've put down here the Business Council of Australia. Anyway, so whatever that happens.
It's more Business Council of Australia came out with a AI agenda. And I think for our Australian listeners, of which there are many, we need to throw a bone about the future of their economy.
Yeah. Amongst other things, I think a lot of things are going to come up. So,
all right, cool.
Anyway,
like
but yes, let's start.
Pretty loosey-goosey. So, anyway,
Grammarly.
Grammarly.
If you don't know, it's like, I mean, you would have seen the ads on back before YouTube Premium, or it's actually not even before YouTube Premium. When I like go to YouTube on a Chrome profile that isn't my premium one, a Grammarly ad is probably 1 in 3.
Yeah, it used to be fucking everywhere, and like there's actually a good chance if you're listening to this podcast at some point you had Grammarly installed.
I had it installed years and years ago,
and it was kind of an intrusive bit of spyware that would sort of float above everything you were typing in every app.
No, people like it. Like we shouldn't.
No, it's good.
Some people like it because basically it's like it's spell check, but it would also be like, oh, you're using the passive voice here or whatever.
Yeah, you're using the passive voice. That's not the right. you're using an N dash instead of an M dash.
Yeah, it's a redundant word or whatever.
Exactly. It would give you like
a little bit more than
score ratings of your stuff. Yeah,
to be fair, Microsoft Word and stuff does now, but this was, as you say, a plugin in the Chrome browser as well as in Word, as well as in Google Docs or whatever.
And you're right, a ton of YouTube comments, but a ton of YouTube ads. But the reason we bring it up is that General Catalyst has invested $1 billion in Grammarly.
$1 billion?
A $1 billion non-dilutive investment in Grammarly from General Catalyst, which is a little bit weird. Because let's be honest, when was the last time you thought about Grammarly? Even if, putting aside even the AI moment we're going through, because you might think, and we're going to get into this, ChatGPT, Gemini, Copilot, they can all do this stuff. Plus the fact that even without that stuff, Microsoft Word and Google Docs have improved their product, not to Grammarly's level, but enough to sort of close the gap a bit on that stuff. You're using passive voice here, blah, blah, blah. Why is somebody investing $1 billion in Grammarly? And to be clear, just to like spell out why this investment is a little bit weird, it is coming from their customer value fund, which is not one of their main investment funds. It's $1 billion. It involves no equity, so they're not taking a stake in Grammarly. It's a weird deal where they get a percentage of future revenue. And the $1 billion is not for product development or any of that kind of stuff. It's just for marketing. And with the goal of Grammarly is being pitched as, shock horror, a all-inclusive, all-round AI platform.
Which, I mean, it makes sense. It's the only way that Grammarly can go, right? I think we talked about Duolingo in the last episode. But, so as you say, okay, for starters, everyone's already using AI to make their writing better or more annoying.
Yeah, exactly. Your least competent coworker is putting all their emails through ChatGPT.
Let alone people just like trying to spam out emails. I sent you one today. Someone hitting up our publishers or whatever.
I'm gonna read this out because it's an incredible. Keep in mind, this is most of my inbox as a media professional where I get PR pitches and stuff.
Yeah, you stopped sending me these months ago because like they're all the same.
They're all the same. I get a ton of ChatGPT written PR pitches and whatever. Fine, hustle, good on you. We got an email to our one of our down round inboxes. Clearly, I would actually love to know what the setup is here. I guess they must be trawling some database of podcast transcripts, I would think.
Yeah.
Maybe it doesn't even go that far. And finding, because anyway, this is from Peripeti Labs on behalf of Pulumi.
Yeah, I know already.
That's two companies I've never heard of. Hey, James and Raf, name's correct.
Mm-hmm.
I just caught your latest episode about Airbnb's midlife crisis. M-, absolute gold. The way you dissected Brian Chesky's ambitious attempt to transform the platform into a mediator of every human experience, obviously directly drawn from what we were talking about, had me hooked. That redesign with separate tabs for services and experiences feels like a classic case of trying to do too much. But your analysis struck the perfect balance between humor and insight. Loved every minute of it.
I mean, this is the thing, like, the least human opening paragraph ever written.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, just no one in the world opens an email or writes that paragraph. No one writes that paragraph. It's
obviously automated. But the thing is, it's like, those are things that we actually said. So my take is,
It's scanning a transcript.
They have fed a transcript into an LLM and it's spat that out.
Yeah, it's some, I would assume maybe there's some kind of, either they've developed it in-house or there's some kind of vague marketing thing where it's like, take every tech podcast, transcribe them all. Apple already transcribes them, so unless it's just scraping Apple's transcript, regardless, and like pump off these emails, or best case scenario, and you can keep reading if you want because
Yeah, I mean, straight away. I mean, there's 4 long paragraphs, but the next one...
And 4 long paragraphs, by the way. I haven't read the last 2 paragraphs because I received it and immediately saw that it was like 4 blocks of equal size. As I've said many times before, aesthetically, it pounds my brain when I see... Like you can tell by looking at the paragraphs.
As soon as you look at the structure of the email,
and you have 4 paragraphs that are exactly the same size aesthetically. Yeah. I mean, without reading anything, it's like 4 blocks the same size. That's why I was like, I'm not reading this.
Yep. No, I agree. And it goes straight into the second paragraph. Your conversation got me thinking about the challenges of managing complexity and scaling effectively. Well, I'm glad. I hope everyone
made you think that.
I hope everyone takes that away from listening to Down Round. Which ties directly to someone I'd love to introduce to Down Round. Megan Kajokar, General Manager of Infrastructure as Code at Pulumi. Megan's work is focused on cutting through the noise of cloud infrastructure chaos, helping teams unify their approach to managing sprawling systems, kind of like Airbnb is trying to streamline its evolving identity.
Absolutely. It's absolutely like that.
So obviously they want Megan on the pod. And I think the most I'm going to skip multiple paragraphs, but the most insulting is the final sentence, which is, can't wait to hear what you think. Thanks again for the great episodes. You've made Down Round a regular in my lineup.
Thanks.
That's bullshit. Cheers, Mark Hinkle.
Yeah,
then again, straight after that, regards, Mark Hinkle.
So that's the thing. The best case scenario is it's someone who is just literally going like, top tech podcasts, go to most recent one, download recent one, put it in Notebook LM, write me, copy paste, write me email that's promoting this, and just doing and copying pasting. That's like kind of best case scenario is just
I reckon,
an employee just kind of pumping them out.
I reckon there is a LLM middleware firm here.
Yeah,
because to me it just seems so because
we get that these things happen all the time.
I've gotten multiple. It's actually more over the past 12 months than I ever have. Maybe it's because Down Round is big leagues, names in lights, but I actually suspect it's because there's a bunch of these companies pursuing this. But we've gotten tons of email outreach, which is like, you should have this person on your podcast.
Yeah, but it always starts with your most recent episode was so insightful, bang, 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 and it hit these
Love
points.
Down Round, what and the dynamic and the mixture of humor and information was incredible. And then they offer some random mid-level management person at a SaaS business I've never heard of as a guest to talk about something.
There's something that's not relevant. Not relevant, but would obviously be boring and shit. Scaling cloud infrastructure. Obviously, we're not going to interview someone about scaling cloud infrastructure.
To be clear, we respect people who are out there scaling cloud infrastructure.
No, don't get me wrong. That's a very important job.
But I'm not.
There's a few companies in the world where if you ran that, AWS, for example.
Yeah, if you were in charge of scaling cloud infrastructure at AWS, drop us a line. And you know what?
Cloudflare is probably the bottom rung.
Yeah, Cloudflare.
Anything below Cloudflare
in your outreach email, you can skip the bullshit about saying that you thought we were really funny and cool and we nailed it on our Airbnb episode. Skip all that. Just hit us with the credentials. We love credentials. Anyway, so that was a circuitous way around, but we come back to Grammarly, who, as I said, yes. They're getting $1 billion, not a small amount of investment, in a strange little investment deal that does not involve equity. And here's one of the key reasons I think, this is my read on it at least, and dispute it if you must, why they did not take a traditional equity deal, is because Grammarly was valued at $13 billion in 2021. $13 billion company. If they take new fundraising, that is going to revalue the company, new equity fundraising.
Yeah.
They will. I would say that maybe they'll touch $1 billion. Because here's the thing: apparently they have $700 million of annual revenue. So they probably actually would maybe hit $1 billion. I'm sure they probably would actually. If they're hitting $700 million annual revenue.
Well, it depends on their growth, really. Yeah, that's what it's all about. Where's Grammarly's growth at? How much are they spending at marketing? How much? What's their what's their LTV to CAC ratio, folks?
Everyone knows. I think it's pretty obvious that Grammarly is not going up from here.
Well, very quickly talking about Grammarly. Obviously, competitive threats are every AI company.
Every AI company,
including the ones that own all the distribution that they're currently plugged into.
If you have a ChatGPT subscription that you pay $20 a month for, and you're using it for a range of different things, but you can also use it to check your grammar.
Yeah, I mean, but, the subscription, but so many people use it for free. This is one thing we probably need to touch on more, because I think we have slight blinkers on where it's like,
oh yeah,
the assumption is everyone pays, but like,
yeah, you can do it.
I've realized like so many people are just using the free version because it's fine. It's on whatever 3.5.
No, it's 4.0 mini.
4.0 mini, like whatever.
Mini. Yeah,
like they're using it to put every email through.
Yeah,
yeah.
It can write the emails for you. Grammarly doesn't do that.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, exactly. I mean, Grammarly obviously, I'm sure now has. I'm now guessing, but I assume like everything else in the world, like Notion, like whatever, it has a plugin. I'm sure you can like highlight and say make more professional, and it does all the AI stuff.
So.
But regardless, obviously they got a bunch of threats. I would guess that their growth, they probably have to spend heavily on marketing in order to keep the growth going, and B, I'm sure the growth is slowing. But, and yeah, C, obviously that deal, if it's about like future revenue, that basically means that company it's a way for them to get paid before any of the previous investors. In particular, if there's like weird preferences on those early investments. And debt deals as well, which whatever, blah, blah, blah. So it's like some financial engineering. But regardless...
The point is they don't want to have that $13 billion valuation revalued. Because it would be significantly lower, I would imagine, as it would with any of the... Actually, someone did ask us a question in our last week's Q&A episode about what happened to all the ZERP companies and whatever. Here's one. Here is a ZERP valuation. Yeah. $13 billion in 2021. That's textbook.
Yeah, but that said, okay, the benefits of Grammarly, because yes, this is ZERP. It's like it's a Google Chrome plugin to help with your grammar that, yeah, as I said, the biggest companies in the world can now all do and are doing. But like the benefit is, and I think this is kind of important, and it kind of links back to, I guess, a common down around theme where it's like there are a lot of people who have Grammarly installed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Already on their computers.
It started as a browser plugin, but then it became a system level plugin where you could have like that floating Grammarly thing that checked it in whatever app you looked at.
Exactly.
Tons of people have that installed. So Grammarly have acquired Coda, which is like a AI platform. They've integrated that, presumably going to integrate into their service offering. So their idea is that we have like system level access for a bunch of people, browser level access for probably more than that. We're going to turn that into like a generalist AI platform.
Yeah, which again, there's like multiple down around themes here. One, you can't just be a grammar checking app. Every business has to be Microsoft. Every business has to be Office 365, etc. Like you have to expand to everything because you have these billion-dollar valuations or multi-billion-dollar valuations. You can't just be like a cool business that has 1 million people paying $11 a month. That is nowhere near good enough.
And I tell you what,
and sorry, those numbers are just pulled out of the air.
Yeah. $1 billion for a company like Grammarly, I can't imagine they have a massive staff. Like, maybe they do. Actually, maybe they hired up insanely during...
Who knows? It could be one of those companies that has 1,500 staff.
But even if they have a bunch of unnecessary staff, $1 billion buys you a lot of runway.
A lot of runway, but it's all to be used for marketing.
Yeah, marketing is...
But it seems like marketing is their key thing. Like, they have this kind of... They're a highly kind of performance marketing sensitive business where they just, like, require new people to stave off the churn. Regardless, like... But that said, as I said... Great benefit is that it's already installed on a lot of people's computers. We're in this moment with AI where it's like companies like ChatGPT and OpenAI are trying to convince people to start using a new platform in order to like write stuff, which is always hard. As again, that's the second down around theme number 2. Like incumbency wins. Changing user behavior. It's always very, 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 very hard to change user behavior to make people go like, I'm currently using Google now, but I'm going to start using OpenAI, this other app and this other website, which does things differently. That's a very hard thing to do. Grammarly is already installed. Like that's why, like when I see something like Notion, which I quite like Notion, kind of whatever project management / I don't know, workspace tool, whatever.
Yep.
When I see them pitching themselves as an AI workspace tool, I'm like, that's how many people are going to be like, I'm in the market for an AI-enabled workspace word processing tool or whatever. That ain't gonna happen. Whereas, I mean, they've again probably a fine business. I'm sure that like they're doing great. I use Notion as well. It's great.
They just formally launched in Australia, and there are Notion ads fucking everywhere now.
Yeah, but and I think it's fine. But whatever. Yeah. But the point is like trying to drag people over to a new platform because it's AI enabled and you're not ChatGPT or Google. Or even fucking like, I mean, we've said this. Anthropic has the same problem because it's like everyone knows ChatGPT, and then you've got kind of Google and Microsoft doing their thing as well, and they're the fourth. Let alone when you're like, no, come to Notion because we also do AI within our things. The benefit that Grammarly has is like they're already installed, so like there is a large group of people potentially.
Yeah. No, you see, yeah, totally.
And enterprises who are like, wait. We can either buy for $30 a seat this OpenAI stuff, this ChatGPT stuff, or Grammarly that we're already paying, because a lot of enterprises
they already subscribe to Grammarly because the idea is that
you're in sales or whatever.
Before ChatGPT became a common usage, it was probably the best way of like. We would prefer that our sales staff weren't out in the market sending barely literate emails to people.
Yeah.
That was like that was basically the enterprise Grammarly pitch.
Yeah.
Was like, you can significantly improve the perceived like IQ of your sales force.
Yeah.
The people who are out there talking to customers with a per head subscription, which just like gives it a run through and says, "Hey mate, that paragraph you wrote is not passable as human communication."
Yeah, we're giving that like 33% on the professional scale.
We need to resolve that, and now ChatGPT can do it for free.
Yeah,
and generate the copy for you. If you type in some caveman shit and say make that professional, ChatGPT will do that quite well. But I mean, there's two interesting things that come out of this that I think are worth thinking about. The number one, which I'll flag, is that, for someone like Notion, just like, Angular to what we were just talking about, you feel like all the AI features in Notion or Slack, I've made that up. I don't know if Slack have AI features, but I'm sure they probably do. Like, all these companies are introducing it purely defensively.
Yeah.
Like this idea that, fuck, we own all these people. There are a lot of people that are using Notion who have been using it for the last 4 or 5 years or whatever. If it's been around that long, I think it has. And we don't want them to be like leaving Notion to go into ChatGPT.com or Gemini or whatever to do this stuff. So we need to have some basic functionality here so they don't flee to other platforms to do stuff.
Yeah.
There's that.
Which, by the way, as I said, I use Notion. I've never once used the
AI stuff seems completely vestigial
because it's the same shit as the Apple Intelligence stuff, right? Like highlight something, say make more professional. It's like no, I'm
very clearly bolted on.
I'm going to ChatGPT or Anthropic, and I'm doing it there, and then I'm copying and I'm pasting.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah, it's purely defensive. They're like, we need to get like the least. But obviously, that their goal is not targeting a power user who loves using AI. They want someone who is like. Probably not across it that much to not be tempted to go do that.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then on the other side, you have the Grammarly thing, which I think is a different model, which we're going to see, I think, a lot more, which is this idea of something like Grammarly, which claims to have 30 million daily active users.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty solid. That's a big application.
30 million installs. Yeah.
Yep. I would say, I think it's more than that, but 30 million daily actives.
Well, I mean, like, it's so embedded.
Yeah, you probably, exactly. It's kind of hard to avoid using it once it's in there. There are all these platforms that have been floating around, like SaaS businesses that didn't go anywhere or are just like progressive on the basis of inertia, have big audiences. People that use them have never uninstalled them, maybe use them on a daily basis, which I think either through deals like this, what General Catalyst has done with Grammarly, or through like acquisitions and roll-ups and all that sort of stuff, vultures are going to start coming after this stuff to be like, all right, you've got the eyeballs, we're just going to put AI features in front of you. We're going to turn you into like an AI shop front where we like have a big glamorous AI branding and like you're already using it, it's already plugged in, and we're going to, I don't know, clip the ticket on the spread between the cost of the API use and what you're paying for it, or the ads we put in front of you, or whatever.
Yeah. Because it's kind of like, again, down around thesis number 3 that like every business is like a mailing list or whatever.
Every business is a mailing list.
This is basically
Ultimately.
like this is the ultimate mailing list where it's plugged in. It's Bonzi Buddy, it's Clippy, it's right there on your computer. It's already on your computer.
Down around thesis, every single digital business is either ends up as a bank or an ad company, or a mailing list.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, if you can't, I think that's the thing. If you cannot be a bank, where like where you're storing value and allocating it, or you can't be an ad where like an ad surface where you put ads in front of people. If you can't do either of those things, the only thing you can be is a mailing list. We have a ton of emails.
Yeah, which you then sell to one of the other two businesses. You sell to an advertising business or a bank business.
And being a like plugin that's like in Chrome, because I'm gonna be honest with you, I have a lot of like vestigial Chrome plugins, which I've never uninstalled, but I assume are still just hoovering up my data and reading every website I go to.
Well, this was like a big security thing where it's like people would buy Chrome plugins, and like the person who's no longer maintaining is like, really? $2,500? Sure. You can have it. And it's like, obviously like Chinese hackers or whatever, which I think is good for the record.
Chinese, of course. Well, and actually to completely reinforce our point and preemptively give us a downright dub, which I know we love to receive, I was thinking that this is like the new version of an older strategy, which popped up in the past like 5 years, which is like buy up old and barely used social platforms that still have tens, maybe hundreds of millions of users, and just like blast ads at them until they can't tolerate it and leave. Which was a big thing, like during COVID and after. And the big
roll-up kind of companies.
like the weird roll-up thing. And the big company that did that, and we've talked about it on Down Around probably years ago at this point, was Media Lab, which currently owns Genius, which used to be Rap Genius, the lyrics website. They also own Imgur, which was the like Reddit hosting site that became its own cringe thing. They own WorldStar Hip Hop. WorldStar. Kick, which I believe is a haven for pedophiles, but was also a messaging app at some point. DatPiff, which was like
another rap website thing.
Mixtape thing, and a couple of Whisper, which was like a weird secret sharing thing. And they rolled them all up, turned it into like the lowest rent ad platform imaginable. And I'm looking at their website now, like, Genius, they claim 174 million average monthly page views. Imgur, 194 million monthly average page views. These are like, these are not leading websites globally, but like those are good numbers. Those are good numbers. But then I was going back to the site to look at it because I was like, what does it mean? And they've already rebranded themselves as Media Lab AI. Dub.
Yeah.
They are preemptively positioning themselves for exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
They're going to turn Genius and Kick and Imgur into like...
God knows.
Who fucking knows? Something
AI.
Yeah.
Something AI.
This is real bottom of the barrel stuff.
Yeah, I mean, which is the other classic is in the app space, right? It's like buy up. You have these companies that own like 150 different random games that all have a couple of thousand active users, but like homogenize the ad experience and just pump a shitload of it and up the price of the in-game gems and blah 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 blah. Classic play. But yeah, I can see it with like AI ish. But I mean, the other thing I can see is the potential for the acquisition, right? Like as it gets more and more competitive. In particular, I mean, I know we talked about last year in our predictions episode, we were talking about Perplexity.
Yep.
And at the time, we're like, I can see something happening with Perplexity. I mean, go fact check me on this. Like, this is from memory. But one of our predictions was like, something will happen with Perplexity towards the end of the year. This year. We're talking 2025.
We did predict that, yeah.
Something will happen with Perplexity. Like, these companies that are kind of in the middle. They're not the OpenAI, Google, Microsoft, obviously OpenAI, Anthropic now with Amazon. They're not the kind of the big ones. Facebook with Meta AI. And I suppose we have to throw X in there. But like, sorry, again, I'm getting sidetracked. Meta AI, I find that very inconsistent.
In what sense?
I've only referred to Meta AI in WhatsApp infrequently, usually as kind of like vaguely a gag, but like something in the group chat.
I like adding Meta AI.
Add it to ask a question. I reckon it leaves me hanging. It leaves me high and dry 50% of the time. Just doesn't respond. Nothing.
This is an adjacent beef I have with Meta. I don't log into Facebook that often. I don't look at Facebook very often at all.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're the same.
I've never.
But as a result...
Other than... I have a separate profile from my ad account.
Yeah, I look at it because... And the only reason is like I'm in the Facebook group for my apartment building and neighborhood and whatever. I'll look at that stuff, see what's going on. Someone's like, oh, the elevator's not working. Why is the elevator not working? You know, there's rarely answers, but there's certainly a shared experience of misery as to why the elevator isn't working.
That's what it's all about. That's what the old school, that's what they promised us with social media.
Exactly.
Shared experiences.
But because I don't sign into it very often, every single time I go back to it, Facebook has logged me out, and I try to log back in. It's got two-factor authentication.
Yeah.
And it defaults to sending a WhatsApp authentication code.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I've never.
But
received that.
it only comes through, I would say, 50% of the time.
Something's going on.
And then you have to click on it and go to use another method, send it as a text message. Then it comes to as a text message, and I'm like, oh, that sucks and it's very inconvenient that I had to go all out just to look at Facebook. But then I think about it, I'm like, this is a $1 trillion company.
Yeah.
How can they not... If it never worked, I'd be like, all right, something's fucked up. But the fact that it only works 50% of the time, something has gone dramatically wrong.
Yeah, I mean, right?
How can you not send me a 2FA authentication
That's
code?
really bad. Because I will say that is something that I'm gonna go out there on a limb and say Microsoft has done really well lately. Like Microsoft's two-factor is instant. Like when it's friggin' annoying having to like log into your Microsoft two-factor. It's their own authentication app, but it is friggin' instant. When you're on your computer and you're like, type your password and press sign in, your phone will pop up instantly.
Yep, love that.
With an authentication method.
Love
like with the pop-up, like notification, bang, straight in.
The thing that really gets me about the Facebook thing is you just know it's not a resolvable problem. The company is so big and has no support channels that it's like, I'm like fucking Franz Kafka the trial here.
Yeah. Yeah.
I am not getting through the Facebook bureaucracy to solve my 50% hit rate for 2FAs
no.
on Facebook.
No, you just have to deal with that for the rest of your life.
That's it. That's just a reality of my interaction with Facebook.
You literally just have to hope that something somewhere, the gods just like deem that you can now no longer have... we can increase that to 99.
That's unfortunately...
It's literally just prayers right now.
It's like my personal 2FA experience with Meta has been enshittified. And nobody's ever going to fix it.
No one's ever going to fix it.
That's dark as hell.
Yeah, well, I said this is like a few months ago when I was like attempting to buy an MP3 off iTunes.
Yeah, exactly.
And I just like, it just wouldn't log me in. I'm like, well, that's just done.
It's done.
I can no longer buy MP3s from iTunes because there's no way I'm getting help here.
I'm slipping. They've moved on to something else. The focus is elsewhere. That's
like, I'm not even going to bother. This is like hitting help. Or like contact us or whatever.
Yeah, no.
With an issue where like I can't log in, like my login, I can't log into iTunes because it says that it's sending a 2FA to the owner of this account, which is my wife, and she's giving me the 2FA and it doesn't work. Like that is not on your help desk.
I think there is like a market cap threshold that a tech company hits where hitting the support button, the main motivating factor is like, how do we get this person off this page ASAP?
I mean, I don't know what the motivating factor is. Just like, don't let them
don't let them talk to someone.
Definitely don't let them talk to someone. Don't let them get to that Reddit thread that we've attempted to bury where someone gives a phone number.
It's a real thing. It's like, the motivating factor is like, we just need this person that's clicked the like question mark button in the corner of our website.
Yeah, we never want to speak to them.
We obviously don't want them to speak to someone who we have to pay to answer the question. That's obvious. When the only money they're contributing to us is through ad impressions. So there's that. But B, like, we just want them to no longer think that they can solve the problem.
Yeah.
That we just want them to return to like whatever they're capable of doing at our site with no friction. Just go back and do that. Don't worry about solving anything or learning how to do something new. Just get back out there and watch the video feed.
Yeah, I mean, more broadly, it is literally just like psychologically, literally demoralizing. Like just like you cannot speak to us.
No.
You use our product, and that is it.
No, it's like Uber kind of gets it, where like they're kind of like, all right, just give them a refund for their Uber Eats order.
No, I like those businesses where it's like you click a couple buttons, and even Amazon. And Amazon's a funny one because like they are moving their shit around constantly. So I have a lot of subscribe and save. I don't know if it's an algorithm or I don't know if they're just playing with the UI constantly. Every single time, just to try and get to the screen where it shows all my subscriptions is different every time. It's different every single fucking time. I swear to God. Like going through my account, they're like trying to find the like where are the things I'm subscribed to is different every single fucking time.
Exactly. Yeah. We've told you, and we've said it time and time again, that like Amazon, one of the most valuable companies on earth. Every time there's like a back end interface of anything that you do with them, it kind of feels like you're like looking directly at a spreadsheet, and you kind of feel like you're not supposed to be there.
Yeah.
It's not right. This is a bit of like insider intel from at least a few years ago. Someone that I know who was a software engineer at Uber in San Francisco, I was talking to them about like what's the deal with Uber Eats refunds and stuff, because it's a complex problem. Because obviously Uber has no oversight over whether
they're not making the damn food,
whether a restaurant fucks it up or the driver fucks it up. There's so many points of failure
or
there.
Various scams
And whatever. So I was like, what's the deal with... Because like every time I've like ordered Uber Eats and something is not right, it's resolved itself pretty quickly.
Yeah.
You don't have to talk to someone. And he was like... And this, to be clear, this was like 5 years ago, maybe more than 5 years ago. And it may have changed. But he was like, at that time, he was like, everyone gets basically 10 complaints.
Right.
And if you say, like, there was something missing on my order, or it didn't come, or it was cold, or whatever, you basically get 10 times you can do that, and we'll give you the refund. But if you hit that threshold, the system's like, you are a vexatious litigant, and we can't let you have that anymore. I reckon they're probably tightened the screws now, but I think that's fun.
Yeah, or slash have a slightly more sophisticated algorithm.
That probably, yeah.
No, I think that's... I mean, that's a delightful experience when that happens.
Yeah.
When you get an instant refund for something, like, it's a delightful experience.
Yeah. Although, I would imagine the Uber thinking is the same as the Meta one, where it's kind of like, the moment there's like a customer service agent talking to someone, we have lost. We have failed.
Yeah.
We should not allow that to happen. It's much easier to give them their fucking $40 for their grilled burger.
Yeah. As opposed to... With Meta, it's always the questions are going to be some bullshit. Like, like why have I been banned from this like group chat or this Facebook group, my local Facebook group, let me back in. It's like we do. Under no circumstance should we be paying anyone in the Philippines, in India, 1 cent to be speaking to this person. Like, we should not be spending 1 cent because. Were you to multiply that across every single person who has asked that same question, that wipes off market cap.
Yeah. And I feel like if someone if I, for example, typed into the Meta like question box, I only get my WhatsApp 2FAs 50% of the time. They should just delete my account and be like, it's been wonderful serving you for the past 15 years. But I think, it would be best for both of us if we ended this relationship.
That's true. We were going to talk about Perplexity.
We'll hit Perplexity for the end of the free app.
Exactly. Well, so as I said, end of last year, something will happen with Perplexity because it is kind of in that bucket-ish of Grammarly, in that I know they have their own models, but for the most part, realistically, it's a wrapper of sorts.
Yep.
And or it should be at the very least. Its models are never going to compete with.
And for those that forget and haven't been listening to Down Around, it's this search engine, which is like very clearly trying to be a Google successor.
Yeah, it's an AI search engine.
Yeah.
and obviously getting hit from all sides. Now, it does seem like recently they've been cooking. I used to use it a bit.
Yeah,
But I think we talked about this again at the end of last year. I was like, I used to use Perplexity a bit. I don't anymore now that like everything has web search in it. Because at the time, like they were basically the only one when they kind of first launched. I'm sure there might have been some other startups, but they were the one that had internet search and AI. So you could say like you could ask a question about a current event or about whatever, a news topic, and it would give you an AI summary. Whereas at the time, ChatGPT, Anthropic obviously couldn't because it had port cut off. And I just found myself not using it anymore as soon as that feature got added to like all of the ones that I use regularly. That said, it does seem like they're doing pretty well recently, but more to the point, there are rumors, and God knows whether these will eventuate, because realistically, like, you know, Perplexity are in a position where they're on a knife edge. Their competitors are the most well-capitalized businesses on the planet, basically.
No, I mean, number one, Google has woken up and is doing AI search stuff.
Yeah. Number two, OpenAI obviously does it as well.
And their the number one adversary of Perplexity, Perplexity.com, typing in Perplexity.com instead of typing in Google.com, which people have been doing since 1996.
Right? Yeah. The people who moved from Ask Jeeves to Google...
They're locked in now. They're like, I'm not moving again. I'm not remembering.
I've done it once. I had to learn what Google meant.
I made one transition in 1996.
And you're telling me you've got a word with an X in it?
An X. Unbelievable.
Somewhere at the back end of the word is an X?
Yeah.
No, absolutely not.
You've lost me.
Regardless. What the interesting rumors, though, that abound about Perplexity... Because, you know, as one would, you know, you look at Perplexity and it's like, you know, where does this end? Where does this end for Perplexity? They're not going to beat these guys. Is that partnerships? There's a rumor, and again, this is like literal rumor, scuttlebutt. There are some things that aren't rumors we'll get into.
I mean, there's some reporting, but yeah.
Well, the one I was going to talk about was the Apple rumor.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
This is like pure rumor. I mean, we may hear something at WWDC, Apple's conference next week, who knows. But with Apple considering offering Perplexity as the default kind of search, I don't think that will happen immediately because most people still just search in normally.
I can see them making an option in the way that they have.
Yeah, with ChatGPT or whatever. But there's talk of it being default. I know locally Optus is giving Perplexity away for a year, but that's a marketing thing, I assume.
But if you are an Optus subscriber in Australia, you're about to get a year's, and it may involve, maybe next time you re-up your contract, I'm not sure what the deal is, but you will get at least a year of Perplexity Pro for free. Yeah,
which is something they've been doing. They did it with Rabbit R1 or whatever. I think that's like maybe a semi-marketing thing.
Yeah, it's marketing, right? But then the other thing is that apparently it's going to be, this was the reported stuff on the information and elsewhere, that Samsung is going to make it their default as well, and that seems more concrete. It's going to replace like the weird Samsung attempt at doing an AI thing.
Bixby.
Bixby. I don't know.
But like you can see why from Apple and Samsung's perspective, there's a wedge here for Perplexity, in the same reason, their weakness. You know, a man's greatest strength can also be its greatest weakness, and vice versa. Its weakness being like it's not Google, Microsoft / OpenAI, Anthropic / AWS, Meta, is also its strength because companies like Apple and Samsung don't like being beholden to a competitor, effectively.
Yeah, Perplexity is a good little triangulation strategy where they can get something that has a bit of credibility in the market. And it does work well. Yeah, every time I've used Perplexity, especially when using their pro stuff, and I've put an inquiry in, it works. I would say it works better than like the ChatGPT search. Not so much better that I would use it automatically or regularly, but like it's clearly a better experience.
Yeah, because I think they're really trying to balance like speed and
the speed is a big thing. It feels way more responsive.
The thing is, see, I'm just like, I'll go to Google for anything that I think
and they're increasingly like they've solved the. I have in the long run.
Their speed they're so fast.
Yeah, it's fast.
I am blown away by how quickly they load an AI result.
Yeah, and that totally. And even they're like, you know, you can tell they're putting a ton of effort into their like Flash Gemini models, which just respond with answers incredibly quickly, even when you're doing like chat type search. Because Google knows that one of their big competitive advantages is the fact that they've put billions of dollars of research into making your Google searches return 0.2 seconds quicker.
Yeah.
They know that consumers like that. Consumers like that your Google search is for 20 plus years has been very, very quick. Even as like the internet has developed from just like a simple HTML page, they've retained their speed of responses.
Yeah, and not only speed of responses, but speed of you type in a search query, they go to an auction market to see all of the most relevant businesses who are you're most likely to click on, go to an auction to see who's happy to pay the most for that click, and then return like 7 different options. And as well as what you're searching for, now an AI result.
Yeah, and that's one of the things where it's like, if you're looking for comparative advantage in speed, and the competitors are Perplexity and Google, I'm afraid I will bet on Google on that.
Yeah, but I guess but back to the kind of Perplexity wedge is like, if I want something longer form, as in more detailed, I'll go to ChatGPT or Anthropic. If I want something fast, I'll go to Google because it's kind of Chrome's already open, it's all there, blah, blah, blah. I'll do that. So again, I always come back to with Perplexity, like it's this weird middle ground that is also, again, trying to change user behavior, which is why they're giving it away for free with Optus and whatnot. But it would be a huge win if they become like a default on Samsung's and iPhones. The two biggest friggin' sellers.
And to be less credible to us,
unless like Xiaomi or something.
I don't know if it was our final prediction, but I feel like at least I thought that they were cooked. And maybe they still are, but I feel like that if they manage to if they lock down the Apple deal, that would be a banger for them. But again, Samsung, they're doing a bunch of commercial deals. But again, obviously the brand recognition of Perplexity among your average person would be pretty close to zero.
Yeah.
No one knows. I don't know how long it took for people to know what Google was, but I feel like it was not that long.
But it was also so much better. It was
dramatically better from what
it was
before.
Dramatically better. Like you needed one person to show you once, hey, try this, and you were like, oh, I'm using this from now on. It was so much better.
Yeah. Which that leap actually is not possible anymore.
No.
Like, it's actually not possible to get that leap.
Well, that leap was ChatGPT.
Yeah, no, you're probably right.
That was the leap, but since then, it's like now a fucking knife fight.
Yeah, and I feel like the leap there was not actually the information retrieval. It was like
no, of course
generation of text.
Yeah.
That was the thing that got people.
No, absolutely. It was the AI. It was sorry. When I say like that leap, I'm not talking about like search engine. It's like that leap of technology where all of a sudden you're shown something once and you're like, oh, this is dramatically better than.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And Perplexity is in that weird phantasmal zone where it's like, this kind of looks like Google, but I guess it's also a bit ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Your average person is not going to actually understand the difference between I ask a question of ChatGPT and I get X versus I ask Perplexity and I get more sources. I don't think that is super clear to people.
No, and like it has other cool features like, for stocks or whatever, it'll auto chart and whatnot. Better, I think, than like you'd probably have to properly prompt ChatGPT to do that or properly prompt Claude to do that. But, again, we're talking about the margin. How many people want to ask an AI to chart a friggin' stock? And again, Google kind of does it as well. Like Google does that as well. And it's a tough spot. But that said, we could be wrong because
you could be wrong.
Because that as I said, their weakness could be their strength.
We're flagging this as a preemptive. I'm not going to say L, but
no, I think we're still going to get the dub.
But I will say,
I think I'm going to be bought by someone. I still think there'll be something with Perplexity.
Yeah,
there'll be that was our prediction from the end of last year. I'm sticking to it. Something will happen with Perplexity.
There's something going on. Yeah, exactly. So anyway, we're going to move on to our premium episode now, folks. Head to downround.net. You can subscribe to Downround Premium. We've had a bunch of people subscribe in the past weeks, which suggests to me that our Q&A episode must have been red hot. Or maybe it was a long-term purchasing decision. But head over there, you can subscribe.
It is the end of the financial year.
It could be. People are trying to
Yeah,
write
so
it off.
that's actually a really good idea. This is the month to go to annual. If you're currently month to month, go to annual. Write it off your tax.
Write it off. Say that you're learning.
Yeah, you can.
It's education.
Absolutely, it's absolutely. If you work in tech, and if you use a computer for your work, if you listen to podcasts during your work, if you either use a computer or listen to podcasts during your work, which I'm pretty sure covers 99%.
Write us off, folks.
That's a tax write-off.
Anyway, head there. You can subscribe to Downround Premium, get an extra episode per week. You can also join our Discord and speak to all the reprobates on there about anything that you would desire. Anything you would desire. But for those of you who've already done it, we will see you on the other side.